Looking is probably unavoidable. But when someone is talking to your chest, and you need to go, my eyes are up here, it's a problem. I'm talking to everyone's chest. Doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl or my damn cat. I'm just shy and try to avoid eye contact most of the time. Generally speaking, most people would say a glance is fine, but don't ogle and stare. Your friend probably chimed in with the gross take because it seemed like you were complaining and maybe she was just going along with it to be supportive. A cheeky peek, not a scary stare. Looking at cleavage is like looking at the sun. You don't stare at it. It's too risky. You get a sense of it and then you look away. Jerry Seinfeld. That's what sunglasses are for. A quick glance isn't wrong, staring is. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I think as long as you aren't drooling over them or being obviously creepy, bugging the woman about it, a quick look and appreciation is fine. I used to think this, but then my friends all convinced me that people that wear this stuff do not appreciate the glances. I'm still trying to learn about the #MeToo movement. I always thought that people that wear revealing stuff kinda expect people to glance. My friends pointed out that someone wearing a low-cut top is often subject to unwanted attention. I often question how this could be when people know not to flash a ton of money so they don't get robbed. Edit. Thank you for all of your insight. I'll just be safe and not look at all. I'm well past puberty, so it's not a big deal for me, anyway. I'm just trying to understand. I agree with all of you. It's rude to stare, regardless of the person's attire. I avoid looking directly at people when possible because I'm afraid of making someone uncomfortable or making something think I'm creepy. I used to do this too until I started feeling like people were more uncomfortable from *that. Now I never know what to do. Usually it's an acknowledging glance as I pass, whether they return it or not. But damn if I'm not in my head the entire time the exchange is happening. I follow the Seinfeld rule. You think of cleavage or butt like the sun. You take a quick peek, then you look away. Never stare. Otherwise you burn your eyes. Lol. Or not more than 3 counts of Mississippi. You gotta keep in mind though that for some women it is way harder to try and hide boobs. I'm a D-cup and most shirts just don't fit me properly or look awkward like I am trying to show them off when I'm. Shirts that aren't meant to show cleavage will for me. I don't mind people looking but sometimes I get comments of, "Why are you wearing that?" and it's like, well, because I didn't feel like wearing an XL baggy tee and this is all I got. This one hits home for me. I'm an H-cup now but was already a DDD in early high school. My mom, who I am not shaped like, would always complain about my boobs not being covered enough and my response was always, "Where would you like me to put them? I can't take them off. I'm not going to spend my entire life in turtlenecks, especially since it was very hot where I grew up." What you described has nothing wrong with it. We are human, with eyes, and if something catches our eye we will focus on it. It is controllable with practice, but it's such a reactionary thing that it's mostly acceptable if it's just a moment. What is wrong is lingering looks, or repeated quick glances. Because it goes beyond the reactionary one-time incident to deliberate and purposeful. While some might welcome the attention, a lot don't, and one cannot make the assumption that the subject won't mind, or that what they don't know doesn't hurt. What you described about your friend, it feels more like they are making the conclusion that it was a lingering glance and or they are a bit more impulsive in taking the more severe interpretations of situations in a negative fashion. How you describe yourself may be common for some, but other, I've heard, read, is that they dress a certain way, c they like how they look and it may not predict the additional attention that they may find as undesired. If it's visible, you should expect some glances. If it borders the lines of what is considered decent, i.e. visible nipple, generous under, side boob, then you will likely get more lingering looks. Depending on the environment it might be acceptable and shouldn't be given lingering looks, but other environments it might be less acceptable, causing a more contrast in what is expected and observed, i.e. bikini at the beach versus grocery shopping in a bikini. We all have our own reasons for how we present ourselves. Just because someone else perceives it as intentional sexual display doesn't mean it's true for the person, and we should all just give everyone the appropriate amount of respect regardless of how it may shock us. With exceptions: blatant nudity, fetish wear. Thanks for the response. I think the mix-up in my mind is something along the lines of, if I didn't want people to glance at my assets I wouldn't wear that V-neck or leggings. Which seems to have similarities to, if you don't want to get assaulted, don't wear slutty clothes. Obviously I 100% think the second statement is fucked. But the first statement kinda rings true to me. My general rule is, how long would you do a handshake? Or a hug? That's the max time you can. Look, anything longer and it's rude, creepy. Source: M. Guy. My 10-minute handshake's finally paying off. I'm just an old guy, so take it all with a grain of salt, but my belief is that it's the pendulum swinging farther back to overcorrect. Would women care about the looks if all the rest of the bullshit was gone too? My guess is probably not, or not as much. I remember when I was younger, raised in a conservative Rush Limbaugh listening household, I believed that sexual harassment was overblown. I believed this because I viewed it through my lens of proper behavior. I thought women would get ultra pissy about a compliment or an off-color joke and it seemed like too much. Lo and behold, I come to find out people like Louis C.K. were cornering them and jerking off, and they were terrified for their careers if they didn't endure it. I was aghast. I never realized that was the level of shit they were dealing with because it's not something I would ever do. It didn't really even enter my frame of reference because it was so far outside the realm of appropriate behavior. And I don't want it to sound like victim blaming. I'm blaming the harassers 100% for doing this. I think it's fully understandable to associate the looks alone with more sinister behavior because there has been so much sinister behavior. If there was a near zero chance that looks developed into something worse, I suspect the reaction would likely be different. As it stands, while not every ogle turns into something fucking illegal, every illegal and immoral harassment began with an ogle. Man shrugging. Lots of people here replying with their take on what is and isn't acceptable. Yours is the first reply I see so far that actually tries to answer OP's question. For me the issue is creeps, not women's clothing. I have worn crop tops, short skirts, and fishnets without any issues or comments. I have also worn long dress pants, an ugly shirt, and an apron, and been looked at like a prey item. Getting checked out as the former was a confidence boost so long as the people I came across were friendly, but the latter has made me have moments where I've wished I was wearing butt pads so I could remove them, the unwanted eyeballs. Peek is fine. Staring can be uncomfy. Why is this written like the little boy wrote it? Cold sweat smile. 'Cause it was probably written by a little boy cosplaying as a woman. I'm 5 feet 2 inches with a natural 3/6 DD. They're not out on display. There is no hiding these even in simple V-neck t-shirt or any women's shirt for that matter. Everyone is taller than me. Even when I can't see my boobs in the mirror, anybody can just look right down my shirt and see cleavage. I don't try, it's naturally there. What am I supposed to do? Wear turtlenecks and men's hoodies everywhere, all year long just so God forbid a man doesn't think I have them out on display for the sole purpose of them being able to look? Don't want people to look, hide it. Ignorant. It is wrong. Have some manners. Women don't get dressed up for you. Big same on the short and busty. People don't realize that my torso is just shorter than most, so the necklines of shirts naturally hit lower on me. Anything lower than a crew neck is gonna show a lil somepin'. Obviously displayed, sounds like way too much intent for me for body parts just existing. It implies people can only sport certain outfits for others. Especially for women, many outfits are accentuating by default. What someone wears is just not related to someone else's right to stare at them or sexually harass them. It's like when a celebrity's wearing normal clothes and the headline says, X flaunts their body going to the grocery store. Like women are always seen as displaying, flaunting instead of just existing. Well, it's an acceptable norm for women to check out other women. I'm on your side on this one. I usually am very polite around women, but there are times where it's just like bam. Boobs. And it's hard to not look. Afterwards I'm polite, but the initial sighting is very difficult to ignore lol. That's what I'm saying. This guy, kid really, walked up and caught a glance and immediately diverted eyes away. But to some people that initial glance would be enough to condemn him. It didn't bother me at all. Now if he'd stood there and stared, that'd be different. Edited typo. Whoa, boobs. I'm a gay man and even I catch myself glancing at boobs sometimes. Hell, there was even a time in my life where I was a boob man. But then my mom switched to formula. I consider staring at someone rude in general. I'm looking cute for me, not for you. Don't stare.